No, six, what time is it? 13, I can see, okay, 6:13 following a meeting with the lawyer. So we're to the pledge of allegiance. Flag right there.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You, and now, I'll have this Juicy when she gets back to do the roll. call.
I don't think that'll get any closer, so hopefully it'll pick everybody's voices
Oh,
up.
okay, so what do you have to speak of?
Please project.
Shall project.
Okay.
So roll call.
June Daly, present. Angela Miller here. Diane Dorsey here. Tim Sigmund.
Here.
Brian Rogan.
Here.
Remotely. Scott Hamel.
Here.
Sharon Daly. And then we have alternates John Dyken and alternate Steve Biella Jr., who are excused
Yes, both excused. They don't need to be.
and not seated for the item on the agenda.
Yep. And the item on the agenda is under commission business, discuss the status of the pending litigation of David Lucic and Donna Lucic versus the Planning and Zoning Commission of Town of Berlin and 175 West Main Street LLC. And the August 28th, 2025 request of the Superior Court for clarification on the commission's decision on the subdivision application of Comparowitz, thank you, on behalf of 175 West Main Street LLC for 3 residential lots at 235 West Weathersfield Road, Berlin. And, okay, so we have our attorney with us, so what's the scoop? Brian, can you, Brian, can you hear us okay? Brian, can you hear
I
us okay?
can.
It's very difficult now tonight.
Can't hear Tim hardly.
You can or can't?
He said can.
Can you turn that up?
I think he,
Is that little, little cone of?
I- I can hear you well. If I apologize if I don't have the best reception, if you guys can't hear me that well, but I can hear you guys crystal clear.
Okay, all right, well, thank you, you're a little muted for us, so, just bear that in mind if you have any questions, okay? All right, so I'm gonna turn it over to the
I
attorney.
mean. So can maybe you put it on maybe 50 years now? Does it look like it was on like 30? It was on, it was like on,
So,
like
Brian, say
20.
something else, speak again.
Can you sing?
Can you hear us?
Please, no. Now you don't hear us.
Brian, can you hear us?
I can hear and see you guys.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, thank you. We just increased our volume at this end, thank you. All right.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All righty,
So just by way of background, with an administrative appeal, remember what happens is the record of the proceeding before you gets filed with the court. And then the parties brief the matter, and then we go, our trial in these matters is called a hearing on the merits. So we get assigned to a judge. And we go and we argue our claims based upon our briefs, essentially. So we had our hearing on the merits in this matter on August 28th. And Judge Cohen was assigned to us. I know that he's a judge that you've had in other matters, other Berlin matters through the years. Been at the Brighton Superior Court for a number of years. And one of the claims in the case made by the plaintiffs, made on behalf of David and Donna Lucic, is that the conditions of approval or the modifications to the subdivision, because that's what we call conditions in subdivision applications, that they were not clear from the record. Okay, so I'm gonna read you what the portions of the plaintiff's brief. And what the court is just looking for is just clarification on the conditions of approval or the modifications that the commission intended. That's it in a nutshell. And I think it'll be clear when I actually read to you both what the plaintiff's concerned about. And then also we just take a look at what your deliberation was and what the motions were. I think it'll be clear to you what the court is looking for. And we're not gonna vote tonight. What I'm just looking for is just input. So that way, we can prepare minutes to share with the board. This proceeding, because it wouldn't be appropriate to have you vote, because remember, subdivision application is a public hearing. And the court has not remanded the matter to you, okay, which would then require a remand hearing. It's just looking for you to discuss and to clarify for it what you intended as far as the conditions of approval are concerned. So that way, we can essentially move on from this issue and the court can focus on the other claims in the case, okay? So, in their brief in the main, because they filed both, you know, a main brief and then they filed a reply brief. In this instance, I did file a separate brief, from the successful applicant, which was 175 West Main Street LLC. I don't always do that, sometimes I just join. But they did file reply briefs to both 175's brief and then also to my brief that I filed on your behalf. But so in their main brief, because the plaintiff briefs first, this is what they say about the conditions of approval. And this is in subsection C of their brief. It's on page 17 of the brief, and not just noting that for the record. It says the commission approved the application with undefined conditions. Despite the lack of evidence in the record that the new drainage system will function as intended, the commission unanimously approved the application with conditions, failing to expressly state what those conditions were. Plaintiffs surmised the reference conditions might be the final recommendations made by the town engineer, as he noted, and this is a quote, "I have no objection to these recommendations being incorporated as conditions by the Planning and Zoning Commission and can work with the applicant's design team on the details subsequent to any decision on this application," end quote. However, this is not clear, as the commission approved the application without specifying whether it incorporated all or some of the town engineer's recommendations as conditions, and the town engineer may further redesign the new drainage system should eventual modeling reveal it to be flawed. The commission should have denied the application or released postponed approval until it knew what the final drainage system would involve. And they're quoting a case of MSW Associates LLC versus the Planning Commission of Danbury. And then in approving, the brief goes on, in approving the application with the design of the drainage system still flux, the commission reached a decision that the properties and streets surrounding the proposed subdivision partial will be safe from dangerous flooding without any support in the record that this is indeed the case. As explained in Gibbons, administrative decisions must be supported by substantial evidence and the record. So that is,
Actually, bring back to.
no,
Okay, I think everybody was looking.
that's
So
okay.
we want to, are we good?
Sandra.
We have a guest audience.
Yes. Anything exciting?
Litigation.
Litigation? Oh, that's a lot of fun.
See the happy faces, Mark?
Well, it's those damn lawyers, you know.
Yeah, just when we got over them, they're back again.
They mess up everything, alright?
Oh, I know.
Don't get them.
Alright, see you guys.
All right, bye.
So many people have this before you.
I think that couple of us-
So I have a question.
Are there conditions of
So
approval? in
we're,
the packet?
so we're going to talk about, what your motion in fact was,
Yes, I.
I have a question. Did this come, like, this has been a while, did this go to wetlands first?
This did go to.
They go to, and this come, because some do come after.
Because, yeah, so they did need a permit to conduct, and,
That's why.
yeah, so.
This was one of the 2 AM. meetings, along with-
So, this one, yeah, this was your,
That's why we're not gonna go past 10:30. Okay, go ahead.
so, you will see, in, the excerpts of the record and the record was distributed, but you'll see the actual, legal notice indicates that it was approved unanimously, and that's at the very end at page 564. The numbers are in the right-hand corner of the record items. So, 564 and 565 are actually the last pages and group of documents they have. But, subsection C there in the notice, legal notice, it just says it was approved unanimously with conditions. The subdivision application is modified by Conferowitz for property at 235 Weathersfield Road. Before that, you have, at, pages 559 through 562, the actual, and I love the fact that you do this. I wish all the towns that I represent would do this for all their agencies. But you have the last updated review comments, because as is your process, you're very organized in collecting, both departmental review comments as well as agency comments. And you do have your last update, which was, for actually the last night of public hearing, and also the night that you deliberated of September 21st, 2023. Again, at page 559 and 562, we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But before that, you're gonna see the excerpt from your deliberations session. And your deliberation session was not very long. It's on page 552 through 557. Well, 557 just indicates in the transcript. But you'll see at line 12 on page 552, if everybody could just get there.
All 552, I found it is not in order.
You'll see, the following, and I'm just gonna read. Okay. And I'm just gonna use your last name, so no offense, I'm not saying commissioner or chair. Or vice chair. So line 12, Veely, subdivision application of M. Conferowitz for 3 residential lots at map 11-1, block 127, lot 16, 235 Weathersfield Road. What's the flavor of the commission? Sigma, make motion to approve. I think the applicant has done a lot to address the water problems on the problem property. Some of it's still existing that was existing before this property subdivision is not any different than what it was. Actually putting less water into the property from the road. And with the recommendation of our staff or engineer, wetland department approval. Veely, okay, motion by Mr. Zigma. Do we have a second? Jorsey, I'll second. Next page, 553. Veely, second by Miss Jorsey. Do we have further discussion on this? Jorsey, I just have one comment. Veely, yes, okay. Jorsey, it frustrates me when there are conservation easements on properties that prohibit maintenance activities or any activity that enables people or the town, I suppose, to remove dead vegetation or fallen trees, things like that, that interfere with water movement and just, I think, the overall intent of what these conservation areas are supposed to be doing. And I think that it would be important moving forward to include clauses in whatever the deed restrictions are that would allow for those activities. Really, yes, and just to dovetail on that, I want to make sure that the conservation markers are there. Sigma, yes, I did before. Really, yeah, so you may have to amend your motion. Sigma, I'll amend the motion that the conservation markers should be placed as we act for, which I think was meant to say ask. Veely, all right, amend the second. Rogan, comments from staff. Jorsey, yes, I'll amend the second. Veely, and then we go to staff. So we're gonna go to page 54. Juicy, I do believe that was one of the staff comments that they be included. Veely, yeah. Juicy, I did want to just clarify for the conservation easements, the practice is that people call town hall and talk to either myself or the wetlands agent, zoning officer or the wetlands agent, and the tree warden usually goes out and double checks that it's appropriate removals. Feely, okay. Juicy, we have had people removing, claiming they needed to remove things that are clearly not needed to be removed. Veely, removed, yeah. Juicy, rather that are still, Veely, yeah. Juicy, standing and have foliage. Sigma, looking good, huh? Juicy, looking reasonable.
Yeah, it's like.
However, we do have that as a practice, and in newer conservation documents, I believe that is accounted for. Really, Juicy, I don't know
I love
whether,
the cheering.
whether other things, or I'm sorry, whether other ones might take. Really, sometimes I think with these conservation easements, especially where there's a water course, maybe after it's cleaned up or whatever, a couple digital pictures put on record might be a good thing, so that all of a sudden, everything's getting cleared out and there's lawn and you know. Juicy, we have a number of those, really have soil making, I think you might say its way. Juicy, we're working on right now as a matter of fact. Really, so that people aren't tempted to fill Juicy, the Conservation Commission has asked me to try to figure out how we can buy signs for some of the older areas. Really, yep. Juicy, they have been, really, okay, alrighty. Juicy, so those are being addressed. Really, so Juicy, and the staff comments just. And then Sigma says all the staff comments. Really says, and okay. Daly says, yeah, I was just going to add, the Michael Ahern note said that he had no objection to the recommendations he incorporated as conditions. So I think you said staff comments are part of that, but it seems like he very clearly looked over what their plan was and approved it. Bailey says, Daly spent some time writing up a nice little summary, so it seems like he had approved of their suggestions. Bailey, okay, thank you. Anyone else? Miller, just a note of clarification. So will that easement area be cleared before this? No, I just want clarification from Maureen. Juicy, there was and then you again say Miller, Maureen. Juicy, condition on the wetlands application, Miller, the easement area. Juicy, that the drainage be cleared out. There's a couple notes on the plan with relation to it. Miller, okay. Juicy, I'd have to look at them again, but that has been ongoing conversation and it was a condition of wetlands. Sigma, our wetlands agent. Juicy is also shown on the plans that have been provided to you that the drainage worked as it really ought to. Okay, so further discussion, all those in favor. And then Commissioners Drew Daly, Tim Sigma, Tim Jorsey, Joan Feely, Brian Rogan, Archie Millard, Scott Hamel. Aye.
That's painful.
Feely was opposed, so moved. So hence, they're looking for clarification. What are the conditions? Because we start out with Mr. Sigma at that first page saying, and I'll go back to 552, line 20 and 21, he says, with the recommendation of our staff or engineer, and then he says wetland department approval. Then there's a second on that from Mr. Dorsey, and then we'll get into adding the markers. Okay, there's we're gonna amend, we add markers, and then it just kind of, so we need to clarify for the board, what are you incorporating? So, again, what you have in front of you, okay, you have,
The page before.
yeah, so the staff comments, and again, we should be in numerical order. We've got at 3:15. And I put title pages because everything is e-filed. Okay, so these are, and the electronic version that I have to do. But you would have noted there's 3 pages, and that's more for everybody looking at the e-filed copy to be able to find things easily where things are transitioning. Cause with the regulations, in this instance, you have the subdivision regulations too, the record's 871 pages. With the title, because it's big, right? And it's hard for the court to navigate when they're up on the bench and they're asking questions. So that's been my practice for some time now. But in terms of just going back to the start of the materials that do have printouts of, and the record should reflect it, it was also too, but the wetlands approval, the letter from the Wetlands Commission is at pages 10 and 11, so you have that in front of you, and you can see, you know, what those wetlands conditions of approval for, or rather, the notice of decision or the notice of action taken for wetlands is at page 12, so that follows the second page of the decision. And then, because the FEMA Ecological Services report is in fact referenced in condition of approval number 3, it says that all proposed wetland enhancements described and the Marine Ecological Services report dated April 4, 2023, be constructed prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy and or bonded for lot 3. Because it is referenced in the letter of decision, we did give you that. So that you're receiving the complete copy of the letter of decision. So you see that again, that April 4, 2023 report that I believe is authored by George Logan. That went to wetlands, and it's pages 13 to 26 of the record. Do have that. Thereafter, you have Maureen did essentially 2 staff reports. The first one is at pages 239 and 240, that follows that ecological report. She has her staff comments, as she always does. She's got those set forth out front, and then she does go into noting the comments that have been received from, again, other agencies and officials and departments of the town at the very end of the report, so that's at the bottom, 240. Her updated report that you see at page 315 that follows that it just has a very short update at the top that says, and it was updated, it was originally dated July 20th, 23. It was updated, Dr. says the applicant is continuing to work on modifications to the drainage design for the subdivision. They have been responding to comments from the town engineer. As of today, updated plans for staff comments are pending. Public hearing was open on July 6th. Applicant sent consent on use of available extension time is required to be hearing open beyond August 17th. And then she tells you how much time of the 65 additional days, statutory days was used. So she's more giving you more a status update than actually adding additional substantive comments to her updated report, again at page 315. Then you've got the transcript of the deliberation. And then now we're going to talk about just quickly the actual updated staff comment sheets. And again, the practice of your primary support staff and your town planner and your assistant planner is to update this staff comments form as comments come in from town officials, departments, and other agencies of the town that application and plans are sent to for review. So this is the final staff comment summary that contains all of those official, departmental, and agency comments that were received on the revised plans, the revised subdivision plan in this matter. So you see, you know, in addition to the town 5 boards of the town engineer that were received, that were added to the summary sheet, there are other notations, and certainly the departments and the officials and the agencies that had no comment are also noted. So we've got the police chief with no comment, fire marshal with no comment, the building official with no comment, economic development commission with no comment. We've got the wetlands, application approval, so the permit to conduct the application approval noted. And you have that earlier, that was submitted with, the applicant's, initial application submission, as part of that submission. That approval is down with that Green Ecological report that's referenced in it, as a condition of approval attached. Berlin Water Control indicated eliminate blow off, define type of hydrant, identify a force main type, PVC amending note schedule. We've got a note from the health district. The application had included septic, or indicated septic, but they confirmed with the engineer that sewer and water connections will be used and no well or septic for the lots. Current home on well and sewer can remain and connect as needed in the future. Conservation Commission indicates that they concur with wetlands comments. The 5 bullets from the town engineer that are recommendations that he said can be incorporated as conditions of approval on that next page of 560. Yeah, so his comments are there, at actually 561, I'm sorry, because the ones that you're seeing at 560 were his earlier comments. We see 2 Board of Police Commissioners, no comment on that page of 560. The remaining are the town engineers' updated comments submitted September 20th, incorporated again into this form. So, your principal documents containing comments are, record item number 75, again, page 559 to 562. And then, the staff report prepared by Ms. Juicy, you're seeing at 239 to 240. And then, the 315 copy is just the first page of that same staff report with a little update as to the status of the application. As far as the wetlands approval is concerned, obviously they're an agency with separate authority. Alright, so their approval stands alone. But it appeared from the motion that was initially made that you were acknowledging that wetlands approval. We could talk about what was intended by that. So that's where we are. We need to clarify for the court what conditions of approval, or again, in the subdivisions setting or notice of conditions, the commission intended.
Well, so
All the other, staff comments and,
You have to talk up, because otherwise Brian won't hear you.
wetlands, staff comments, they're all included as my motion said. I don't know what the clarification is. Whatever the town engineer and all the commission said, that's what we included in the motion, and that's what we always do. We include everyone's staff comments included in our motion. So if anything's missed in our motion, it's in the comments.
Right, and if something's unresolved, the expectation is that
Those
it would be staff's decisions, staff's determination.
if staff doesn't think station was permanent, what permanent half was.
Mhm.
And that's what's always happened. Staff says, well, no, this is too much for making up, then it comes back to us. That's why
Or they might bring it, or Maureen would bring it back to us in the case of clarification needed by the commission,
right.
as he's writing it out or something,
Like,
if they have a question.
So, with my motion with the recommendations are staff and engineering and water, wetland department. Basically, conference call, their recommendations. That's why I don't know what the clarification is needed, what clarification is needed, because you just read every recommendation that the staff has made for them. But we included in
I didn't read all,
what.
I identified it.
You did-
Yeah.
you did-
So read this,
you did the, in town engineer and stuff like that. So basically, because the commission is saying yes to the town engineer and staff's comments. Yes, we agree to.
And we're also saying yes to the application.
Right.
Because the town engineer and the staff of the town, whether it be building or wetlands or whatever, has all found a reasonable resolve to address the issues of the commission, which go back to the flooding issue. So that's how that whole thing snowballed, but
Yeah.
when staff and their comments address the issue and they find a way to make it work or to rectify the situation, they are the experts. And we rely upon them to resolve it for us. Now, if it was unresolvable, we would have denied. I know the commission would never want to do harm to the other landowners or homeowners. So.
The only thing, when I read this, my question was this, the sidewalks, okayed by us? Because they were asking for a waiver of sidewalks. And, but the applicant agreed to put in sidewalks in the minutes there. So that's all been done, and there was discussion about in the meeting about curbs and sidewalks and everything else, and that the water going down the road would go down to the next catch basin down the road. So any water that was in into the property will be stopped by the setup of the sidewalks and stuff like that.
so you would like the communication to the court to indicate that the commission did not waive the sidewalk.
That's correct. And the applicant agreed to it and the meeting.
Talking about
Do you know what page that was on?
Talking about curbs, put the curbs in, that was the south of the route.
Well, yeah, it was where the water was going to lead down the road, but, whatever nation across the street with the big owners.
But
Buddy was over complaining about the water coming from the cross coming into the, across that yard, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And across the, and we had that long discussion about the water, now that sidewalks are supposed to be in. That the curbs will be in, and the water's will be directed to the catch basin down below, which then goes out to the lanes. Pipe goes out to the electric catchment. So that was matured there, which wasn't part of the wetlands. Because, they were asking for payments and once the sidewalks agreed upon. That was a representative problem.
So they talked about cleaning out, remember they were talking about cleaning out.
The wooded area.
Mattabasset, this is what a Mattabasset.
Yes.
The easement, they were cleaning that out, remember that?
Yeah, the
It's all in there.
the wetlands conservation area was not kept correct. They cleaned off trees and stuff along the lot, dumped them into conservation. That was one thing that was said, that's gotta get back out of there. And put it back to the way it was before. You know, so anything that was put into conservation or wetlands areas had to be taken out. You know, or back to the original state that it was.
So this was not part of the prior.
That was that berm.
Yeah.
Oh, the berm.
Outside pipe.
Oh, they
Discussion about
put
the
a,
pipe,
Oh, that guy.
and we wanted to. And but was it big enough to handle?
Yeah, the water.
they made the pipe bigger.
So they made it like.
It's a, what they call it. Curtain drain thing, curtain drain at the back. And the swell, I brought up the swell in the back, but the swell stays there and put it. That eliminate that stuff up against the. Berm they put up with the trees on top.
He put the trees up, the guy in the back.
Yeah, well, that was done legally, but it was there, so we made sure that it was addressed.
But I think all of that sort of tied in with why we wanted the markers for the conservation.
And yeah, that's,
Because we wanted
this,
to-
this started with, the marker started with Valentine Project. That was the first project, that did markers. And
That
we
was that street.
And we started with the conservation markers and everything else from that point, made up. Standard, conservation markers. And they might be installed. So that's another thing that I would make sure that they're installed with the markers. You know, but it is all in the minutes. Of the thing. You gotta watch out.
I know. I'm
How
not
we
gonna
talk
talk no
a minute.
more.
You gotta stop the
Flavor.
Whoever's typing these up.
That's because I'm trying to get you to stop talking.
Shut up, Zach, I know. I know all about
We don't want
it.
that.
Hey, I start,
It's like, okay,
I started listening to you after a while.
It's like, what flavor? What's your?
Flavor.
well, I got it.
Flavor.
Usually when it gets that late, just, my apologies to the judge. When it gets that late in the
It was
meeting,
late.
I have to use certain verbiage to bring them back around to. So by saying things interesting or
Weird.
flavor, well, do you have a motion to make a notion or a notion to make a motion? That's me trying to wait the condition out.
Let's wait.
I think it was
This
actually
was the 2
long.
o'clock.
Very little houses that needs to go.
We had
This is
everything.
a long,
late.
1:32 o'clock.
Yeah. Plus,
So,
I think we'll never
So
forget.
again, I need to be very specific.
Yes.
So I've heard a variety of things. I've heard, staff comments again, which would be reflected in Maureen's staff report. And also in, the staff comments and the staff summary comments that, you know, we were receiving throughout the process, and ultimately that last updated summary that included all, and especially the town engineers, recommendations that were received on September 20th, so the day before the last night of public hearing and deliberation. That was what you were referring to. If you could all just answer audibly when you meant staff comments being incorporated as conditions of approval or modifications to the plan, okay?
Yes.
Then I also heard you say that no sidewalk waiver, and I mean, I will insert that if you desire me to do that. Obviously, to get a sidewalk waiver, you would have had to set the road. But if you would like that in there for clarity, because as you've indicated, the record otherwise reflects that the applicant agreed to do the sidewalks. And then the I heard 2 things with regard to the conservation easement in the comments that have just been made. And I know others were, nodding, but primarily from Mr. Zigma, Commissioner Zigma, was that, the insertion of the conservation easement markers was an additional condition of approval. That was the amendment that had been made. And again, there was the concern about, you made that amendment to the motion, was everything else lost, and that was the concern, which is why I wanted to read the whole very short transcript of the deliberation to you. But I understand more the conservation easement markers, but then you also said something about the conservation easement area being included out. Now, that's something that is
Yeah, well, that was in the minutes of the, consent, so.
But they would take care of it.
And they will take care of it, that was in their minutes, so. Anything, this is where I come in now, writing everything on the last page. Because I see it in here on this minutes, that what they agreed to.
Yep.
Okay. And they agreed to that, and that comes from our record. What they agreed to.
But the deliberation, when you read the transcript of the deliberation, the cleaning of the conservation easement area, it seems like Maureen's comments were that she was already working with them on that particular issue. So we were concerned about it, but I don't think that was necessarily part of the motion, because understood she was working on that. But the issue was being addressed.
And when, basically, when we say, all staff that have comments and, recommendations,
But there was
that puts that all.
there was a recognition for the need to.
Yeah,
clean
there
these.
was a recognition in minutes, you know. This is when we first, this is one time was, and this is when we first. Started doing
Right,
a little cleanup on how we approve things. It's when we started saying that, you know, all staff recommendations, you know, and nation's recommendations for land to. But engineering, recommendations are included in the motion. Well, if they were not included, we would pick whatever item that we don't go with the approval. So if the engineer said, put this pipe in, we didn't think we had to be there, you know, then that would have to be.
You would have separately noted that, is that?
Stuff that you noticed that.
Yes.
and
So it's, I don't see the clarifications it needed that as much as I guess. They do.
well, after reading the transcript, I can understand they would want to verify.
Yeah.
I wanted clarification.
Well, if you bring our words in there, yes.
But I was just going to, that whole wetlands, that whole conservation area became very important to us because of the water being trapped there. And the water was trapped there because there was brush being put in there, clippings being put in there, and all sorts of stuff. Things are falling down, and that's why it became clear, that's why it became necessity to clean out whatever trash was in there. So that we can let it run its course naturally. And so we wanted to just sort of reinstitute, you know, Mother Nature's way of doing business and the water course. So that's why we talked about the clearing it out. That's why we talked about a large question of the larger pipe. Do we have to install anything to make the transit of the trafficking of the water from that spot into the Madagascar easier?
We're not gonna have the town be responsible for doing that and maintaining it.
There was a discussion about the town, we were just checking in on it. No, I mean, to make sure that nobody's dumping stuff in there over years, they would check in on it to make sure the water was flowing. And that if it needed a little extra help from the town, it could get, you know, Mother Nature could get it. I think that was the flavor of it.
I have a question that this might be something you can answer, but in Thompson. When wetlands approve something or any of. Then it comes to us. And when we're reviewing. Sometimes we make some changes. Like on these pipe here, yeah, wanna make sure that drain in the back of the property. No one's done properly. I got bigger. Discussion. Now, are we doing wetlands job then, with that? Or, should we not be saying that, wetlands improved in a certain way?
So, it really is a case by case basis that you're evaluating that ultimately, and this is why you have technical staff. The town engineer was very involved with this. He was involved when he was going through wetlands, and he understood the particulars of what they approved, right? And we talk about when substantive, there have been times when you've made substantive changes, you've had a different application for you as a result of provisions being made. To satisfy things within your authority. And, we look at that, from staff's perspective, I say, we consider myself a part of your support. as a council. But we do go back sometimes to them. There was a matter where, and it was one of your affordable matters. Where the project changed, where, certainly the design, was, significantly changed. And, we did go back to wetlands. There was another time, where, there was some tweaking, but not true substantive change to the design. And we went and we had, a conversation with wetlands. We showed them, we literally laid the plans out. And we showed them the particulars of the changes that were made at the planning and zoning commission level. To make sure that, they felt that the exercising their authority, their prior decision on the application that comes before them on the prior set of plans. That they were satisfied that those changes did not impact that decision in any way. So we do have those conversations on occasion. And, the thing is, your review of the wells, I've counseled you on this based upon the specific language of the case law. About, how, your review of the wetlands report or the wetlands decision is just that. It's not something that binds you, just because they give it a plan and get for every mention there, but just because they give it, you have to be able to for, whatever's before you. And, I've given you that counsel, that language that's used in the case law as far as your review of their report, their decision. But, I think, there's a balance, right? Because you don't want to be doing things in your business. You don't want to be doing things where you're exercising, their authority. Because, they have certain jurisdiction, and, your jurisdiction is otherwise. But, the clarity, I think you've added again an additional, point here. The clean out of, aside from the sidewalks, those concessions that are made by the applicant, right, just on. And the fact that there was discussion about the cleanup of the conservation easement area, that it was your intention too. That also be noted, acknowledged, okay? So, so coming back, we essentially have 5 things that we wanna, I think, clarify for the board, note for the board. That you intended as far as, again, modifications, conditions of approval, of your approval of, the subdivision application on this. The comments of your town planner in her staff report. The comments of all the other, again, officials, departments, and agencies of the town. That will received by you, the last summary being that one that was prepared for your September 21st meeting. And then, we also have the conservation markers, the agreement by, the applicant to the clean out of the easement area. And, you want to note too, even though, you had not discussed it, you'd like to also know, that there was a concession that the sidewalks would be done. Just to simply note that that is why you did not act on the waiver request. So is there anything else? Brian, did you have anything?
I did not.
So I think I'm all set. Judith and what?
Well, I'm just,
Can I
checking
agree?
it on, yeah, no, I think it was in. My rereading of some of the things the town engineer, he's had extensive communication. And suggestions to the client or the applicant. And then. Also giving background and recommendations, so I'm assuming that that is all part of, like we said, and staff. It's done a good job of looking over that and noticing where they were different, that the applicant's ideas and direction. I regarded them, I think, a few times, so. And that's already stated in the process, but no, it would be, but he's saying that. I felt that earlier in the application process, we had already talked about clear that waterway. And so we thought that was.
I think by endorsing staff. Definitely.
You gotta talk louder.
Covers
Brian.
it all.
I know.
Because our comments are already in. On thing, but then it covers theirs. We're endorsing what they said I think that's something we didn't do. Prior to field application. Bunch. They would parsley, but now we do such a. We endorse staff. The missions.
So when you say that, when you say endorse, again, it kind of suggests that you're exercising some authority, if you will. I think what perhaps, what you're meaning is you're acknowledging, that they have issued certain comments and that it's expected that there'll be compliance. Obviously, in this instance, again, your initial approval referenced the wetlands approval. The wetlands approval stands by itself, but you intended to acknowledge the fact that that approval, while given, has certain requirements in and of itself. Is that fair? Is that a fair? Okay. Brian, you agree with that? Brian?
Yes, Brian.
I do.
They're kids back.
Yeah, I know.
All right, well, I think,
Can I just add to that?
Yes,
Just
a little stressful.
I think one of the key things there is that the wetlands agency approved something with conditions. And therefore, the application that came before you, as I understood what you guys were seeing, looking at, it was. Okay, wetlands comes first, those conditions get met. Then the plan we're seeing meets the wetlands conditions, and then you're adding the modifications or conditions that, P and C sees fit, but it's based on the wetlands approval being executed as it should be at the same time. And I just, kind of wait, because it is, the wetlands does come first, and
Yeah.
that's important to realize and know that, so it's not the plan absent their approval, it's the plan with their approval works because, and with your.
I guess I quoted it wrong, the way I said it, but, if wetland says. Something that. We see on a plan that doesn't work out, or quite the one, how come they're doing that? then it's time for us to go, our planner to bring it back to wetlands agent and say, hey, they're asking about this. You know, and clarify it and come back to us, you know, and, you know, it's only clarification for better, basically, not the worse. But I like having that kind of, thing between the other conditions and stuff, saying, I don't know about that, you know. Can you explain it to us, or whatever, you know?
You know, working together to get the best project, and the best interests of the town.
Yeah, we just build on
And
the
address
foundation.
any, I'll see through other issues as we address.
Oh, absolutely,
when we
it's like
get back.
that, yeah. One go on from, on to somebody else.
Thank you.
All right, no problem, thank you. All right, so, now I'm gonna open it up for planner, comments, if you want. Thank you. Let's see.
Commissioner.
All right, yeah.
Don't forget.
We do have commissioner comments. Do you have any commissioner comments? I have something quick, I'll just let you know, number 77 Dalton Road now has holes in the roof.
No, we're aware of that.
Oh, we are aware.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanna ask you is what's going on with Prince of Peace Church? That huge mural they hung, that signage thing on the old Prince of Peace Church on Chihuahua Highway. There's this huge mural they hung. And I don't remember. It's
So
super
Fagin
huge.
is very particular as to what signage is that the zoning department has purview over. As far as advertising signs and things such as that,
Yeah.
it is highly likely that would not be interpreted to be a sign. I know, while I was out of the office, Wally worked on it a lot, and I don't want to, contradict any,
Okay.
research he's found
Okay.
and this impromptu conversation. But hopefully by Thursday, I'll have something that
All right.
he and I can powwow and I can go through what's happened, but it is very likely it's art on the wall of the building.
Well, it should be art
And
inside
no-
the building.
It's likely there's no purview over that type of installation. that the town has, but we will, I'll see what he's found out in the last week, because he did immediately look into it after the last meeting and was working on it. I was not in it all last.
So I'm just kind of curious, why is that different than when they put the mural on the good things
Yeah,
over in
right.
Berlin?
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to mention, from what I understand, Farmer's Cow is looking for artists to put a mural on their building.
Yes.
So we're gonna have a
So-
problem.
So you know,
So I do know we have a Farmington Avenue Arts Council, is that what? The new roof, do you remember, do you recall
I'm
that?
not sure.
Okay, so there may be some.
But if there's no advertising in the mural, we
Yeah.
can't say that they can't have it.
well, I thought the one,
Shouldn't
so
they
the one
say
on
that-
Good Things was that
Found out, I think they ended up not installing good cause on it. They were going to have it, but now it just says borough.
I
IT.
Yeah.
It's generic.
Like advertising or their
Just
name,
they were
then
going
we
to,
could,
and they
but if
just
not, we
left it
can't do
fine.
anything.
There's nothing to do with borough.
What is it?
What?
What is it?
I think it's.
Talking about painting
It's
inside of a
it's
building.
a, it's a.
I'm aware, I asked what it was, what's the mural is.
Tropical scene and,
Right.
yeah, it's got tropical.
They put houses or something that can.
Well, there's,
It's just a picture, it's a picture of a mural of three people.
yeah.
Oh.
I'm sure
But
there's
it's
some.
just, I don't know.
It's not fitting.
I don't know if
And
it
then
has a
somebody,
meaning.
and then I heard a rumor that that place that bought it from the Prince of Peace Church, that handicap, that they're not in there anymore, they're subletting it to somebody else or something.
I'm not aware of that. I've seen, I mean, I drive by in the morning, I've seen their vans fairly recently.
Yeah. That's right, I said,
I've
it's the
seen
first
vans.
news, I've seen vans, but they said it's not the same business. And
So
I don't know what's going on in town.
if it's the same type of operation, then it would have been a simple zoning sign off, even
Yeah.
if they changed their affiliation. But, or their LLC or what have you, but, I haven't heard that came through again. Yeah, probably just processes a lot.
Yeah.
You said that they're getting another
There's
sign.
on the side of
That's
the
gonna
building,
put.
started
graffiti,
with
whatever.
Tom Perlin.
Yeah.
One next to the underpass is Tom Perlin.
Where?
That's our.
Yeah, I was against that because
And that was a.
they just did it on their own.
conflict.
No, it was-
Business.
No, it's, yeah.
Because businesses wanted to put mural on the side of the business building, and the town said they couldn't. And then the town put that one.
Yeah.
So that was a problem, that one, the one next to the other. That went down.
Not on good cause, they did that.
I believe
We
Good
didn't
Cause
do
did
it.
that.
Well, whoever,
No,
They
and
did
then
not.
economic development was upset because there's a design district. And that did not allow for that.
That's what the house.
right.
But the town, I don't know, just acquiesced or something, they have it.
That's
Okay,
not-
now
Now
we
we
have
have
any
this understanding
advertising, so
anyway.
we can't.
Now we've
follow
got
this.
Farmers Town. Everyone's gonna start putting murals on the building, it's gonna look like hell.
Deep down in the regs, it says no mural.
Oh, yeah, that's a question more.
Somewhere, I know that. And so,
Then we have to do it.
my parents paid a fine on that when they did it on their building. Yeah.
Anyway.
I know that.
I just wanted to bring that up because I'm not bringing it up on Thursday, we'll be busy. Go ahead.
Maureen,
Think of that.
have you heard anything on that Polish restaurant being changed to a mosque?
Oh, no. The bell.
Yeah. I was out all of last week, but I know. Did you?
But I'm just gonna tell you, that's their intentions. That's what I was
Traffic.
told,
Okay,
they
I'm
wanna
just
change
saying,
that to a
traffic,
mosque,
traffic,
so anywhere,
traffic. Baltimore.
Baltic is sold with a condition that they could change it.
Well,
I
Then
know
it's
it's
not
coming
sold
for
now.
a preliminary meeting with the town planner.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've met with anyone.
can you change a restaurant to a church, a mosque, or? a
It's
church?
very likely that would require a site plan or special permit approval. I don't have the
Yeah,
regs up in front of me that I can search.
Right,
but-
Baltic,
It have to, so if it's an allowed use in the zone that is subject to site plan and or special permit approval, it'll come through the process as it would to come to planning and zoning commission if it needs a site plan or special permit approval. If it's a like for like use, we do those internal. Not all special permits can be done internally, that those special permit uses do have what works to them and stuff. And we often bring those to you or at least to your attention with them.
Did you hear anything about Joel selling this building? I heard that.
She's.
Yeah, I heard that.
it's selling it.
I don't know where I got from, but I heard that. I saw it traveling around.
That's gonna get us down.
Which one?
Trolls.
Trolls.
That's gonna lose
Like
the
that's
historic.
That's a historic building.
Look, historic building.
That's a historic building.
We don't have a demolition ordinance.
Yeah.
But
That is our
that's-
first.
So you
And
can-
we only have other
Fire
fire.
department, isn't it?
Yep.
That's the fire
That is.
department.
It was.
Yeah, that's the firehouse, right?
Well, it wasn't the
Like the
original.
brick road, really.
On that site, there was a two-car garage there. for one bedroom apartment, but on Joel's property, Joel's, no, there was original two-car garage. And then they built.
Jennifer's like, she's thinking for
So
herself.
that's just the fire.
No,
It
you know,
was
she's
fine,
thinking,
yes.
huh,
I
I
mean,
mean,
that
all
was-
this fun I
Yes,
do.
I know something.
I'm being on Zoom.
That's terrible.
You're just thinking to yourself,
That's
that's
the
fine.
thing.
Oh, okay, all right, anyone else with anything, because on Thursday we have a meeting, and it's not a big one, right, Maureen?
I don't think it'll be too bad.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Did push stuff. But
You don't have the packets, so I think.
I did.
Oh, no, but that would have been fun, we could just pass them out.
Yeah, it is one of our goals is
Yeah,
to
don't
yes,
worry.
in that one meeting before the next, especially when you have math plans.
You're getting married
I
again.
think a lot of it's on there you already have.
We have a meeting, this is a special meeting, I think.
I'll be zooming because I have a wedding in front of me.
Okay. Big one like.
Special meeting,
That's 7:17. We have a motion by Ms. Miller, a second by Mr. Hamel. All those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Those- Brian, we'll see you on Thursday.
I actually won't be there.
What?
Oh, yeah, he said he was gonna miss this week.
Are you on
Uh,
vacation?
Celebrating my anniversary.
Oh.
Congratulations.
Oh.
Thank you.
I mean, I didn't know you, I don't want to not celebrate the. I don't know. I'm 48 years, I missed the anniversary of my.